Okay, so here we go with the first column on our note sheet. We're talking about slope-intercept form. So an equation is in slope-intercept form if it's of the form y equals mx plus b. So on your note sheet, I'd like you to write in the first column that the equation for slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And if this is new to you, then you'll also want to write down that m stands for slope and that b is the y-intercept of the line. So on my example here, I've identified our slope and our y-intercept. You don't need to write this example in your notes because we're going to do one in just a second where you get to practice it on your note sheet. But this equation has a y-intercept of -2. The line is crossing the y-axis at -2. So we see that here with the b value in the equation for the line. And then the slope is, of course, rise over run. So we're going from that blue point up 4, and we're going right 1. And so that turns into a positive slope of 4 over 1. Okay, so we see that here with the 4 as a coefficient of x. So let's do our first example. This one I would like you to write in that first column under slope-intercept form. So I have given you an equation that is in slope-intercept form, and our job is to graph that line. So the first step is going to be to plot the y-intercept, which is the b value. So our b value for this equation is 4, because remember that slope-intercept form is of the form y equals mx plus b. So we're going to plot that y-intercept on the y-axis at 4. Now the slope is the other number, the first number in the equation, but we don't do it until our second step. So to plot the next point compared with our y-intercept, we're going to go down for the -1. I'm just going to put little dots here that are not points on the line. They're just to keep track of what I'm doing. So down 1, and then right, because the 3 is positive, right 3. So my next point is at 3, 3, because I went down 1, right 3 from my y-intercept. And that's going to be this line. I'm going to put arrows on it because the line extends infinitely. If I had kept going with my slope, I could have graphed a third point, down 1, right 3, and I actually would have had a point right here on the line. Okay, so that one is finished. Let's try another one before I have you do one on your own. So write this example down in your notes. You might need to pause the recording so that you can draw the picture. But this graph has a point at 0, 1 and also at 2, 0. And so we need to figure out what m and b are in our slope-intercept form. And that means we need to figure out what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. The y-intercept should be easy. That's the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So that's 1 because the y-intercept is at 1 on the y-axis. The slope might be a little more tricky. You might need to draw in for yourself some little guidelines here, maybe make a little triangle. And then you need to pick which point you want to look at first, and you can pick either one. I'm going to choose to pick this one, my y-intercept. So to get down to the other point, I have to go down 1, and I have to go right 2. So my rise over run is -1 over +2. Or my slope turns out to be -1/2. All right, so my equation of my line is y equals -1/2 x plus 1. And notice the slope is not -2, it's not 2, it's specifically -1/2. That's the only correct way to write this slope unless you put -0.5, which isn't normally how we write slope because we like to see it as a fraction for that rise over run. Okay, so that's our final example. And so now you're ready to go do questions 1 and 2 on the quiz for this session. So I need you to go to join.quizzes.com and use the game code that I provided in the email or the message where you found this recording. And it's very important that you use your first and last name as your nickname, otherwise I won't know who to give credit to for the quiz. So at this point, you're ready to do questions 1 and 2, and then pause for a little bit on your quiz and watch the rest of this session.